Hello and welcome for round 15 of the PenPower Euro V8 Supercar series here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Sam Fitzpatrick. I'm joined alongside by Marco Barbanera and Alex Simpson on the cameras. And Marco, it was your first time out 2 weeks ago for the last round at Bathurst. Who did you think was kind of the strongest driver out there, and who do you think will be stronger this round?
Well, it's an interesting question. First of all, hi to everybody and welcome to this race. I was impressed by Johnny Brandon's drive in race 2 after the disaster he had in race 1 with the wrong setup. It was amazing. So I am watching him, and we got a couple of new guys that come from my country, and they are Michele Ricci and Alessandro Daledon. They are very fast drivers, but they are rookies in these cars, and they have the speed, but they don't have the experience. And also, we are changing the format for this race. It's an endurance race. It's going to be 56 laps, so strategies, and strategies will determine this race.
Yeah, we've heard so far from the drivers on the lead up to this week how it's a really close call on strategy. You can either go for like a 2-stopper or a 3-stopper, and it's going to be a really close call to see which is faster. Like I said, the new Italian drivers, I've seen Michele Ricci quite a bit around the service, and of course he's a very, very quick driver, particularly in GT cars, so watch out for him today. Currently got Tony Klusterman on pole position. He's not currently out there setting a time. Michael Evdoka now coming across the line. Let's see what he can do. I think he's just starting a lap, in fact. So we'll wait to see what he can do. But is this a circuit that you really like, Marco, or is it not one of your favourites?
Have we lost him there? I'll chip in if it's all right, Sam, just for a second.
I'm here, but I didn't get the entire.
Sorry. Do you like the circuit, Marco?
Yeah, I absolutely do, and it's one of the best tracks in the world. I mean, it's a shame that the MotoGP doesn't come here, but it's good that Formula One still does. And even though it has had a little bit of changes in the recent years, it's still one of the premier places where you can race. Got a lot of different corners, elevation changes, very fast sections, and it gives the drivers some passing opportunities, so they will have to be patient, but there's place to pass here. It's a completely different track from where we were 2 weeks ago, so it's going to be a challenge to adapt to a, let's say, modern kind of circuit compared to what we had 2 weeks ago with the crazy Mount Panorama circuit that was completely different. But yeah, beautiful track, and it's going to be a beautiful race.
Yeah, absolutely. In the championship, really hotting up at the top of the championship. Johnny Brandon leads on absolute points at just ahead of Michael Evdoka. Damon Gantar in third. Stephen Latsmore in fourth, having a good championship so far. Tony Klusterman won a few races, but has had to sit out of a few races due to an ankle injury. He's in fifth. And then Jamie McKnight is in sixth. Stefan Nubis, Chris Jackson, Nikolai Bogusarov and Richard Wormingham rounding out the top 10. We should add that isn't taking into account the drop weeks. And we've heard if you do take into account the drop weeks, Michael Evdoka is in fact the leader. And we'll with just a few more rounds to go, those drop weeks are going to be absolutely fundamental. Do you think... from what you saw last week, Marco, do you think Damon Gantar can really get himself back into the championship hunt? Because he's just slipped back a little bit in recent rounds.
He was very consistent in Mount Panorama. I think he finished second and third, respectively, in the first and second race. His style of driving is going to fit well with this kind of race, because you don't have a do-over here. It's just one race, and if you have damage, if you make a mistake, it's pretty much race over. You get the time to catch up with the strategy maybe, but it's going to be hard, especially if you do a big damage. So yeah, I'm going to keep a close eye on him, because I think he will be on the podium at the end of the day, maybe even winning, because he's good with this kind of longer races.
Yeah, quite an interesting stat with Doman so far this season. Whilst Johnny Brandon has got 5 wins, Michael Abdoka 3, Gantar's yet to win a race this season. So he's come close so many times. He's got, I think, 9 top 5s as well. So he's been really consistent, but just hasn't quite had that standout race. Tane Klisterman also up there with 4 wins. Seems to be coming to the end of qualifying. Tane Klisterman seems to have sealed it. Just a couple more drivers coming round. Nicole Foggy doing really well up in 3rd place. He had a great round at Bathurst last time. A couple of really good results. Let's see what he can do across the line. Was a little bit off the top and he fails to improve. So he remains in 3rd place. Still really good for him. Just ahead of Johnny Brandon at the moment. Just looking down the field for any other drivers. I think that's pretty much it. I think Jose Borges just coming into the final chicane now. Let's see if he can improve. Currently in P10 with a 2-minute 4 dead. Pretty clean through the final chicane. And he fails to improve as well. Lane O'Connor now coming around the final corner. Let's see what he can do. Currently P14. Can he get himself up? He does improve by a couple of tenths, but it's only enough. But he doesn't improve his position. I think that's pretty much everyone in. So I think we might be able to go through the grid. Tony Klisterman on pole position. It's another pole for Tony. Been electric in qualifying all through the season. And he lines up in that 1st position once again. Michael Abdoka, just what he needs for his championship bid, in 2nd place. Nicole Foggy in 3rd, another good qualifying from him. Johnny Brandon in 4th, struggled a little bit in qualifying at Bathurst as well, but was strong in the races, so watch out for him certainly. Now a bit of a gap back to Stephen Latsmore, about 8 tenths off pole position in 5th. Chris Jackson in 6th. Michel Ritchie in his 1st race of the season, driving well there in 7th. Jamie McKnight 8th. Alessandro Dalladone in 9th. Jose Borges in 10th, Richard Warmingham 11th, Sergei Glaskov in 12th, Nikolai Bogataro 13th, Lane O'Connor 14th, Peter Bingham 15th, Anthony Woodward in 16th, Bill Switzer 17th, Katie Rose Taranto in 18th, Clyde Whiting 19th, Greg Branch in 20th. I think this is his 1st race as well. Ronald Moons 21st, Michael Frost 22nd, Kevin Whitaker 23rd, and then Dave Janssen and Klaus Winther in 24th and 25th. The 1st corner round here, Marco, is quite a difficult one, isn't it? And it can be a bit of an issue on the 1st lap.
Yeah, because you have to take a double apex, and the track seems so wide when you get in, but gets narrower and narrower. Not by much, but it's inviting when you come in, and then it's very, very tight when you come out. And then you have to deal with the S's. So the group will have to be sorted out by the time they come to the S's. Otherwise, there's going to be trouble.
Yeah, it's really difficult to go side by side through her. Fortunately, we've got a rolling start. Haven't got a standing start like we've seen in previous races. Probably the smart thing to do. If my memory, I think Michael Abdoka won our only previous endurance round this season at Daytona, so he's certainly got the bit between his teeth. And anyone else who you think could maybe cause an issue, Marco? Anyone maybe a little bit further down the field who you think perhaps didn't have a great qualifying but should make their way through the field well?
Well, Jamie McKnight is in P8, and I mean it's not that back in the grid, but he is going to be one to watch in the race. He's got some drivers in front of him, but again, the beautiful thing about this race, as the cars are lining up for the flying start, is that you can make up ground, not necessarily while battling on the track, but also via the strategy. And we will see. I'm very, very curious to see what strategy will every driver choose. So it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a race inside the race as the cars are rolling. So time to go.
Yep, Tony Klisterman leads them round just behind the Porsche pace car, just heading into this famous chicane, and he'll be determined to get the launch that he needs. Michael Abdoka, doubt he's going to take too many risks considering what's at stake. And Tony comes round the chicane, and he will get his foot down any moment now as the pace car pulls in. Tony Klinsmann waits to apply the throttle, and there he goes. It's not a brilliant launch for him, and Michael Abdoka's right on his tail. Can he get into the slipstreams? Just side by side between Foggy, but Klinsmann hangs on to the inside. Abdoka not taking too many risks, and down the inside for Klinsmann. It's a good start for him, just holding on against Abdoka. Foggy into third, Brandon fourth, Jackson fifth, Latsmore sixth. Doesn't seem to be any incidents, I think, in the background. And in fact, as Marco was saying earlier, they've managed to sort themselves out through this SS section.
Yes, everybody is behaving appropriately, and that's good because we got a lot of laps to go. Tony Klusterman did not have the best of starts, but he is managing to pull a little gap to Abdoka, not very big of a gap, but he's trying to make it bigger and bigger as the lap goes by. Behind them, everybody single file at the moment, trying to get the tires into temperature and trying to understand how the track is at the moment.
Yeah, Michel Ricci just trying to have a move on Stephen Latsmore, and in fact he's got a nice drive. Here comes Ricci down the inside of this. It's not really a corner in many cars. In these, on the first lap, with cold tyres, it can be a bit of an issue. Ricci on the inside here, he's going to have the outside for Spoon. Fights him just behind, and Ricci just has to slot in behind, but that's a brilliant cutback. Can he get the inside here? That he's going to have the drive out of the corner. He may just have to settle back into position. A little bit of wheel spin for the pair of them, just behind. Got McKnight and Dalladone just side by side, and again defending, going into 130R for Latimore. He's not clear yet, but should be okay, I guess, for the next couple of corners. Out in front, Klinsmann still has the lead, but it's really intense, and Klinsmann wide on the first part of the chicane. He's going to be under pressure now down the pit straight.
And Dalladone goes around at the chicane. He's bringing the car back onto the track, but he lost a lot of positions there. Too aggressive, as I said, inexperienced with his cars, and it showed here.
Yeah, and now here comes Abdoka down the inside of Klinsmann. Klinsmann nearly hits him up the rear, but has to just slot in behind. Can he get the cutback here? Abdoka holds on, and Abdoka leads this race. And now Foggy's looking for any opportunity to get past. Brandon looking racy as well in fourth. Klinsmann, he's not used to this, being overtaken on just the second lap. But it seems to be that Abdoka has certainly the pace to win this race. Down the inside goes Klinsmann. Abdoka not building up a lead, but Klinsmann there trying to stay as close as possible.
I thought we had 55 laps to go, but apparently we got only 5 because these guys are crazy, and this is amazing racing. Of course, we got the first 4 guys basically bumper to bumper. Great pass by Abdoka there, and as you said, Klusterman was a bit surprised, and he's got to watch his back now because Nicole Foggy is coming.
Yeah, seems pretty good on the brakes, I must say, Klinsmann, but yes, it's difficult to judge with the concertina effect. Here comes Foggy going into Spoon. Not going to have a chance there. As long as Klinsmann can just stay within about 6 tenths that he's behind now, he should get a nice draft down here. So difficult in these cars to get the drive out of Spoon. You're accelerating midway through the corner, and it's so easy to spin up the tyres. Klinsmann staying in touch, going to keep the pressure on Abdoka, and you know what? Abdoka's going to be under pressure, I think, going into turn 1 again.
Now the guys are coming to the Casio Triangle, the infamous chicane, as you called it before. Very difficult to get your braking point wrong here, and then beautiful final corner and the start-finish line. We're starting lap 3, still a long way to go. These drivers, they are not slowing down at all.
No, not whatsoever. I must say, I suspected maybe a little bit of fuel saving from a few of these drivers. We've been told that lap 19 or lap 18 is kind of the is when the 2 stoppers will pit. Lap 14 when the 3 stoppers will pit. So really watch out for that. Certainly seems like none of these top 4 are fuel saving. They are going absolute 100% at it, and breaking away a little bit from the rest of the pack. Chris Jackson just in 5th position with Stephen Latsmore right on his tail. Michelle Ritchie looking really strong as well. And in fact, Latsmore might fancy his chances here. Can't really overtake to these next couple of corners, so just have to slot in behind. So far, I don't think there's been any incidents up there. I think Dave Janssen may have gotten caught up in an incident, but been very clean first few laps.
Just taking a look at the various cars here, and I'm not seeing anyone with damage, so at the moment they are all fine.
Bobby still staying close on Postman. Postman hasn't really dropped off too much, but just got a feeling as though Postman doesn't quite have the pace of a doctor, and if Postman makes one error or has to defend a little bit, could start to fall back a little bit. But it's these first few laps, maybe not 100% important in this 56 lap race, but you still want track position early on. Latsmore, I think, trying to go for a move on Jackson, trying to get the move down into the Casio triangle. Down the inside goes Latsmore, and he can get that done, and here comes Ritchie down the inside. Can he get it stopped? Just about, but he needs to get the cut back now. Really dry. Oh, and off the track goes Latsmore. He got the move done. Ritchie might gain 2 positions here in a couple of corners. Ritchie into the slipstream. Gotta go to the inside. Not much defense from Jackson, and Ritchie will just go straight through here, and he goes up into 5th place. Brilliant debut drive for Ritchie out here. Can he get it stopped? Just about, but what happened for Stephen Latsmore there? He got the move done, but then just made the error.
Yeah, and we got a couple of guys already in the pits. Bogatirev is one of them. I don't see any damage on his car, but it's way too early for three-stop strategy, so I don't know. Well, we've seen a great move there at the Casio Triangle, but you just make one mistake. The tires are still not very, very hot, so when he gave power coming out of the triangle, he lost it, and he only lost a couple of spots. It could have been a lot worse for him, so at the very least they can put it back on the track and try to get those positions back.
Yeah, Latsmore closing back in already on Jackson. I think he's going to have another opportunity very soon. Jackson seems to be struggling a little bit. So too does Jamie McKnight, just getting caught up behind Jose Borges. He had a great round actually at Bathurst. I think his best race of the season so far. Getting a P7, I think it was on that day. So really good from Borges, and he's following that up with a good result here, or good drive so far here. But he's got Jamie McKnight. Feel as though McKnight's a little bit faster. If you were out there, Mark, where would your kind of main opportunities be? Where would you try to be overtaken?
At the Casio Triangle, absolutely. You cannot try a move at 130R with these cars. I mean, you could try, but it's extremely dangerous. But if you are patient and get a good run out of that corner, then at the Casio Triangle you can make the pass and can make it relatively safely. And maybe at the hairpin after the section under the bridge in the middle part of the track. All the other places you can pass, but you have to be extremely careful. It's really not worth it in the beginning of this race.
Yeah, maybe Jamie McKnight's just looking at that right now and thinking the same thing. They both seem to really struggle through 130R. Both made their different errors, and McKnight has to sit in behind. Top 4, by the way, still super close. No sign of Klusman dropping off whatsoever. He's staying right there. Surely, maybe Klusman, if he wants to do that 2-stop strategy, isn't he thinking a bit now, maybe I can save a bit of fuel in the slipstream?
That could be an idea. It remains to be seen how much did he damage his tires, because these 4 guys have basically they did the first 2 laps racing like it was a sprint race. It's not much, but the track is long, and maybe they will be suffering at the end of their run. But I would not be surprised if one of these guys would switch from a 3-stopper to a 2-stopper on the fly.
Yeah, there's certainly got to be open to changing their strategy, but yeah, see, they're pushing so hard out there, as you've commented before. It doesn't seem as though they are giving one thought whatsoever about maybe saving a bit of fuel. Just check and see how many laps we're in. This is lap 5 currently, so still got a while to see if any of these guys are going to extend the strategy. Even if you can just, you know, maybe undercut or overcut, can be useful. Policeman getting ever so slightly closer, still not close enough for the move, but he's right there still. Who do you think are these top 4 is looking the strongest right now?
Sorry, guys, I want to butt in very quickly. Michele Ricci around, coming out of the Casio triangle. Issues for him.
Yeah, I was watching the live timing. I thought he was going in for a pit stop, for a very early pit stop, but you're right. He went around, and as I said before, inexperienced. These 2 Italian drivers are very fast. Now Ricci gets the position back. They don't have a lot of experience in these cars. They actually did the Bathurst 1000 a couple of years ago, and they finished 5th in the top split, I believe. So, but that was the only experience they had in the car. So, and Dalle Donne is still angry at Ricci because he put it in the wall with like 10 laps to go to make a lapper go by.
I think Klosterman might be about to lose a position here. Here comes Foggy. Klosterman's got to slow down. Don't go into the back of him, Brandon. Oh, that was so close. Klosterman was desperate not to drop down to 4th. He cut the first Degner. That's the name of the corner. Sorry, Degner. And that caused a slowdown. Seems to have served it. I think, yep. And Brandon couldn't make his way past. That was pretty good recovery there from Klosterman, but how easy is it to just pick up a slowdown round here, Marco?
Yeah, it is, and what this did, now the top 4 are a little bit spread out, especially from position 1 to 3, and this is going to be very good for Michael Evdoka. He doesn't have a lot of pressure, and Foggy is there, but it's good for Evdoka to have this little bit of a cushion, so he can focus on the track and not on the drivers behind him.
I thought Jamie McKnight was just going to make another move there. He had a look into 130R, had a pretty good run, but it just ruined his line through, and really got to wonder if he can't find his way past Jose Borges, and overtaking is as difficult as we've seen so far today. If you were him, would you maybe consider changing his strategy, either save lots of fuel now to get the overcut, or maybe change to a 3-stopper and yeah, just get some clear air?
It depends on what he's thinking. If he's only thinking about gaining one position, maybe the undercut would be a good idea. But I don't think he would be okay with just a 7th place finish, Jamie McKnight that is. I think he wants to finish a little bit further up the field, so I don't think he will sacrifice his strategy for just one position. But it's a long race, but he has to make the pass if he is faster. There's no way around it. He's very aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely. He's cutting that first Degner as much as possible. He's close here. Can he go for a Kamui Kobayashi-esque move into the chicane? You got to be so brave here. Thought he might have a go, but he was quite far back. You really got to be right on the tail, and this early on, it's such a risky move. Here he goes again, slightly different line. He's a little bit tighter, still flat out, I think, through this corner, but not really getting the run into Spoon. I think it's coming out of Spoon where he's strongest. A little bit of a defensive move there from Borges, and McKnight really closing in now, taking a slightly wider line, just slows down slightly earlier in the corner so he can get the power down earlier. But again, he's not close enough going into 130R. And yeah, the Casio triangle is tough to overtake. Is there anything that you spot in his driving style that maybe you would change to help his attack?
Well, maybe sometimes being too aggressive doesn't pay off when you're trying to set up a pass, and if you take a corner too hard, you risk getting a slowdown or just lose time because you have to make a correction and avoid going around. So, and we see here, Borges actually got a little bit of a gap now on him. They are still very close, of course, but McKnight was a little bit closer at the beginning of the previous lap. There are some places like here where McKnight gets very, very close to him, but still not enough to make the pass. And this is hurting McKnight a lot. He's losing a lot of time.
Yeah, he needs to make this move a bit more. He's close here, isn't he? Sorry, he's just so close in so many places, and yet there just isn't a clear-cut opportunity for him to go for the move. Checking in on the top four, Foggy making slight headway into Evdoka. I think on this lap, he's closed in by about 3/10. He was 3/10 faster on the last lap. Foggy, who we saw had a decent round at Bathurst, didn't really have the pace of Evdoka necessarily, but was still very competitive. He's looking like the fast driver out there. Policeman just dropping back a little bit and holding up Brandon, would you say, Marco, or do you think they're pretty evenly matched?
I think that Johnny Brandon is happy where he is right now, and he's waiting for the race to unfold. He hasn't tried single time to pass Klusterman, except for when Klusterman got the slowdown. But at the moment, he is like surveilling the field, and I think he will wait to make his move.
I'm just waiting to see what this lap time is from the top four. Nicole Foggy, I think this has been an awesome lap from him. Evdoka, bit of a slide on the exit. Let's see what it is. Evdoka, a 2:04.6. Foggy, 2:04.3. Another 3/10. Gap down to 3/10. He's right on the tail now, is Nicole Foggy. But if it's anything like the Borges McKnight fight, it seems as though it's going to be difficult to make the move. But we are now on lap 9. Still, if these drivers are on two-stop strategies, then still only halfway through this first stint. Do you think it's really important for Foggy? Because he may not have this advantage of pace later on in the race. Is it important that he gets the move now and pulls out an advantage?
Well, if he's in front, he can dictate the pace, and right now he's losing time. Of course, he's very fast. Of course, he's gaining on the leader, but when you are in a battle, you are slower than the other guys. Being in front and setting the pace and giving you a little bit of a cushion when you have to do your pit stops is crucial in this kind of races. So I would think he will be try to pass Evdoka in the next couple of laps. But again, like the other battle, there are some parts of the track where one driver is faster, then the other driver is faster in the other part of the track. So it's difficult to make a move now.
Oh, he's closing right in on speed. I think that, like you said, advantages somewhere, or that the other driver benefits other places. And I think on the entry of Spoon, really seems as though Foggy is a bit braver on the brakes, can carry a little bit more speed, and he's right in the slipstream now, going into 130R, heading up into the Casio's triangle. This is going to be his chance, maybe not quite close enough. Tries to nail his braking hit, or a little bit of a slide for Evdoka, but he's still made both apexes. Slightly better driver, I'd say, for Foggy there, but they've both pretty much nailed that final section of the lap. 3/10 faster than third and fourth. Policeman and Brandon still dropping back a little bit. Foggy close, not looking for a move. Do you think that was maybe? Do you think he's quite happy? Do you think that's a sign? Because there was no kind of glance to the inside at all there. Oh, he's off the track.
No.
But he's held on. He's going to remain in second place. Wow, that was so close. What's that? Oh, what do you think of that?
Commentator's curse?
Oh, and off.
Oh, another error.
Policeman. And Brandon now around the outside. He's going to have the inside for the final S. And Klusterman started in first place. But on lap 10, he's fallen down to 4th. Just another mistake. I wonder if, I don't know, maybe the tyres are just starting to go off a little bit. But for him and Foggy there, similar issue with the rear, with the traction issues, I'd say.
Foggy made that mistake, and I think that Klusterman was for just 1 second, he was not paying attention to his car. He was paying attention to the other car and avoiding contact, while the other car
Oh, we
was
got another
rejoining.
driver off. So, Rosie Borges has just gone off. McKnight, no. Wow, and now down the inside of both of them goes Michel Ricci. Down the inside goes Ricci. McKnight's going to try to hang it round the outside. Ricci hangs on 2 places in one. We're seeing McKnight spend 10 laps behind Borges, not being able to make up 1 place. And Ricci has made up 2 places twice now in this event. What did you see any of that? It seemed like Borges just went off the track, didn't he?
Yeah, that was. I'm surprised that did not end up in a 3-car pileup, honestly, because there were cars all over the place, and good for Michele to make the pass. And McKnight finally got rid of Borges, but still he's in the same position as before because he lost 1 position as well.
Yeah, it must be so frustrating for him. Ricci, good for him, because he was running in 8th place earlier, 7th place earlier on, made that error that we saw, and had to drop back down again, but has fought his way back up through the field. 6.5 seconds behind Stephen Latimore. Haven't talked too much about Latimore today. He's having a nice little battle between himself and Chris Jackson. Those two are always kind of best of the rest, I feel. They're always like the 5th or 6th fastest drivers out there, and they are running in 5th and 6th right now, driving a very solid race. Seem to be pretty happy just following one another at the moment. I think we saw Latimore make an error earlier on, which cost him a couple of positions, but yeah, Latimore looking pretty good out there. Top 4 just spreading out a little bit now. Policeman now 4 seconds off the lead, maybe dropping back a little bit, but do you think Brandon can now try to close in on the top 2 now that he's set free?
I think he will. I think he's done the fastest lap of any drivers in the top 4. I think it was the fastest lap of the entire field in the previous lap, so now we can absolutely put the pedal to the metal and try to close the gap to Foggy and Toka. And we got the first retirement of the day, and Dalle Donne is out of the race. He was in P10 and now he disappeared from our scoring table, so he's off.
Yeah, did he have a pit stop early on, Galazania, or was that someone else? Sorry.
No, he did not.
Yeah, it was. Oh, sorry, it was Pogacar if he had the pit stop, wasn't it? So yeah, not sure what happened to Galazania. He was having a decent race, wasn't he? Like you said, I think running in P10. So disappointing to see him fall out of the race, but hope to see him back maybe next week or even continue this event.
If I could just hop in, guys, just watched it. It was very strange from Dalle Donne. We just watched the replay. He sort of was struggling a little bit at the S's, and then coming through Dunlop, he just got a bit sideways, and then it just looked like the car disappeared. So I don't know if it's actually a connection issue or something like that there that's caused him to retire, because there's no disqualifications as far as I know in the series. So yeah, I think he might just have a technical problem there.
Yeah. I was thinking the same, because basically disappeared mid-spin.
And while I'm also having a little chat, I've got a theory of what's going on here right now. I believe Tony is fuel saving for a 2-stop. This is why these guys ahead of him are just going for it. Absolutely, you know. And I think Tony, while he was being in that pack, it was fine for him because he was able to save the fuel while being in the draft, and it was a lot easier. Now he's just sort of dropping off a bit more because he's out of that draft, and he needs to carry on maintaining these fuel numbers for his 2-stop. You've got to do it from the start or you never make it. So, but I think we might see Evdoka, Foggy and Brandon all on the 3-stop.
Yeah, and that is very evident now because the top 3 are getting closer and closer to each other, while Klusterman is like sort of hanging there in the back, and that could be absolutely true because he made that mistake and he lost he lost 3 places, and now he has the possibility to gain those positions back via the strategy, and I mean, why not?
Yeah, and it's rare that you see Tony Klusterman, the 4th fastest driver out there, so I think Alex might be onto something. We'll wait and see. Foggy actually closing in again on Evdoka. There's no doubt. So that Foggy and probably Brandon as well, I'd say, are fastest in this period of the race. Well, maybe Klosterman's fuel saving, maybe Evdoka's fuel saving. We're not quite sure, but it's consistent. Kind of, well, on that lap, it was 6/10 of a second in the hands of Nicole Foggy, and he is now right onto the back of Michael Evdoka. Couldn't make the move earlier on. This is where he made the error that cost him nearly a position, cost him about a second or so. Surprising how little it did cost him, because it was quite a big error. But Foggy now right on the tail of Evdoka, just following him through here. And do you think there's any places maybe where Evdoka isn't so fast as Foggy and maybe an opportunity for an overtake?
At the moment, no, because yeah, there are places where he's slower, but not that much slower that Foggy can get the position on him. Meanwhile, I think that McKnight got past Rich for P7. Let's see, no, he's looking now at the hairpin, but they are very close in this part of the track. But he's from the hairpin until the chicane. It's almost impossible to pass in a safe way with these cars. So he's forced to follow, and that gives Evdoka the time to get a little bit of a gap back.
Yeah, it was McKnight, I think, made the move on Richie into turn one. Not sure if we got a replay of that, but yeah, pretty basic move for McKnight on Richie, as you were saying. And yeah, it's so difficult to make the move anywhere else apart from that hairpin. Even the hairpin, I think, is really tough. From what I've seen of iRacing up, it's very rare that you see him move into there, maybe into the Cassia Triangle. It'd have to be a bit of a Senna lunge, bit of a lock up for Evdoka. He does that quite a bit, I think, into the Cassia Triangle, but then somehow gets it stopped. This is kind of where maybe we could see pit stop starting. We're now starting lap 14, Evdoka leading, Foggy second, Brandon third, Klosterman fourth, Jackson fifth, Lutzmore 6th, McKnight 7th, Richie 8th, Borges in 9th, and Richard Warmingham in 10th place. And this is all kind of brewing up. We've got a long way to go in this one. Should be another kind of 2.5 hours or so. Sorry, 1.5 hours until we see the conclusion of this one. And it's just really starting to simmer now. We've already seen quite a bit of action, but these next few laps are going to be fundamental for the rest of this event.
Yeah, we will see. Drivers will have to show their cars now, so they will no more bluffing, and this is the time they will the three stoppers will have to stop this lap or the next lap.
I wonder if Foggy's just going to just stall his attack for now. There's not really any point in making the move now if they're going to pit in the next couple of laps, because, you know, he might pull out a second lead or something, but then kind of be obliterated potentially by the pit stop. So I wonder if he'll just stay behind. Brandon keeping up with them. That last lap, Evdoka 2 minute 4.8, Foggy 2 minute 4.8, Brandon 2 minute 4.8, Klosterman 2 minute 4.7. So he did make up a little bit of time there, Klosterman. 3.8 seconds off the lead. Foggy now right in the tracks of Evdoka. Will either of these pit this time, or are they all going for the two-stopper? Evdoka just hesitating slightly to take the racing line. Doesn't want to be caught out by Nicole Foggy. Foggy with a nice little drive out. Doesn't seem like anyone's going to pit this time round. And
Klosterman is in.
Oh well. So Alex, you were the opposite.
Miles off.
Maybe he was fuel saving though. Maybe he's looking for a short pit stop here. Maybe. I'm trying to salvage something here for you, Alex.
No, don't worry. I got it wrong. Way wrong. Let's just point that out. Apparently, I'm not a strategician. What? I just wondered why he just drove around a car there that I couldn't quite see. So, but yeah.
It'll be important where he comes out Klusman. He is Richard Warmingham just going past now. Klusman's still in the pits. There's a bit of a gap behind Warmingham, but he's not going to get into that gap. Is Klusman still stationary? 21 seconds currently. And not quite sure what the pit stops are going to be because, of course, this is a slightly different format. We'll be brimming the tanks absolutely, and still going out there for Klusman. Going to be up to about 40 seconds, I think. And he's still stationary, going to be right at the back of the field. Ronald Moon's in 17th now, coming past him. And here comes Klusman out of the pits. Who's he going to be around? Nikolai Bogotyra, if he had a pit stop earlier on. Klusman just going over the line there. I don't know, Marco, do you know what the rules are on going over the pit lane line?
I think you have to. You can get over the line with 2 tires, but you cannot get over the line with the entire car. So I think he should be fine.
Top 3 really closing in now, I think. Really consistent on that last lap as well. But Brandon, to me, visually, he looks a little bit closer. 1.3 seconds off the lead for any of these guys this time. And they're going to have to be careful of Klusman as well with that undercut with the fresh tyres, I assume. I think he changed tyres at least. For any of these drivers pits, not the top 2 and not Brandon either. So, oh, maybe Alex was 100% wrong with these 3 going for the 2 stop. But just seem to be able to extend it out a tiny bit longer. And maybe hoping to... Do you think what will be more advantage, the low fuel or the new tyres?
I would assume the new tires. I think that these drivers now will have to. They are not battling hard because they know that if they battle hard, they will lose even more time. I don't know why. If they are not three-stopper, I don't know why they are not pitting at this moment because Klusman with the new tires is going to be a lot faster. These cars destroy their tires basically, even in a short run like this, like 16 laps. We've seen many times. So I'm keeping a close eye on Klusman time, and we'll see if he's gaining a bit on the front 3.
Well, he's lost a load of time on this lap, getting stuck behind Ronald Moons. Has not worked for Klusman this out lap. I think he spent kind of a few corners behind Ronald Moons, but he really struggled through 130 out and to take a slightly tighter line to turn 1. Not going to affect him too much. Klusman 3, and he's now got 12 seconds to Whiting, so Whiting shouldn't be an issue. Klusman's got to pump in some seriously good laps now, and we'll wait to see if anyone pits this time round.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, no, you go ahead.
No, I was just filling in. I think that they have to stop now or the next lap if they're really on a 3-stopper. It would surprise me to imagine that they are on a 3-stopper and they are still out. So
I couldn't have got it further wrong if I tried, could I? So they're clearly trying to make it to the 2, so Tony switched up.
Yeah,
maybe the couple of offs that he had. Sorry, just to jump in again. Maybe the couple of offs he had. You know, he just cooked his tyres a little bit, and he's thinking, well, I'm going to need to do something a bit different here. I can't get by. These guys have got good long run pace. Usually that's where Tony excels, doesn't he? Is his long run pace is very, very good. So we'll see. If that change in strategy will bring him back.
And also we are getting close now to the magic lap for the 2-stop strategy, which I think is lap 19. So I don't want to say anything at the moment, but I think that now these 3 guys will push until lap 19 and then pit.
Really having to go defensive there of Docker, and here comes Foggy. Oh, he didn't quite get the drive out, and a couple of wiggles. I thought that may have been the chance there because Abdoka was tight going into the hairpin, and Foggy had the racing line but just couldn't get the power down on those relatively old tyres now. They've been so consistent over the last few laps. Foggy, 2 minute 4.5, then 0.8, 0.7, 0.8, and then another 0.7. So they are sticking to the times absolutely. Foggy's got a couple more tenths, I think, in him. Brandon not really closing in on his teammate or Nicole Foggy as they race through 130R once again. By the way, Stephen Latsmott still, in fact, Stephen Latsmott got ahead of Chris Jackson. Not quite sure where that happened. But yep, that's a change for 5th and 6th positions. Evdoka's in, so Evdoka's in.
And of course, he beats this time.
Well, now we're really confused because I was hoping that for once Apex Racing TV would know what's going on with the strategy, but that's right in the middle. So he's left himself options, but now a two-stop's going to be surely really difficult for him to achieve.
It's going to be, yeah. I really don't know what to say at this moment because I just said they are going to push until lap 19, and next thing you know, he's pitting at the end of the lap. So now Foggy and Brandon are left in the front, and I'm eager to see what these two are going to do.
Well, Foggy now with that clear, wonder if he's going to be able to put in a couple of really strong laps. Michel Ricci also into the pits, was running in 7th, I think. So Ricci having a great race, as I said earlier on. Evdoka with a 32-second pit stop. That's 9 seconds shorter than Klosterman. And Evdoka is going to be... Oh, it's not great for Evdoka, is it? He's behind Switzer. He's behind Glasgow. And yeah, maybe even catch up to Katie Rose Taranto as well. So I don't think that's really worked out for Evdoka, has it? Because he's not going to be able to enable these new tyres.
Unless these guys pit in the next lap, he's going to have to pass them. So not good. Where you end up after a pit stop is crucial. We've seen it many times in Formula 1, but also in other racing series. And yeah, Evdoka is going to pay for this. He's going to be very, very aggressive to try to make the pass. He makes the first one, I think, yeah. Good move. But still, time lost here, so he will have to push hard now.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to be absolutely clinical. Put a driver a little bit off the... oh, Foggy is in. Foggy's in. Is Brandon in? No, Brandon stays out. So surely that's got to be a two-stop for Brandon. I imagine maybe they're going further on fuel than we expected, and there's a little bit of margin for error. But Brandon stays out. Certainly he's on target, and Foggy into the pits now. It's going to be super close between him and Evdoka because Evdoka's stuck behind Glasgow, and if he stays behind going into 130R, that's going to lose him a lot of time, isn't it, Marco?
Yeah, let's see where Foggy comes out. He's now in the pits and 10 seconds and counting on his stop.
Evdoka just going through the Casio triangle, gets the run on Glasgow, past, a little bit wide as well. Is Foggy exiting the pits? Yes, he's miles ahead. Foggy is Nicole Foggy with a much shorter pit stop. 9 seconds shorter. Is that tyres, you think?
23 seconds, the stop. So that was... well, I think that fuel was required, so maybe no tires. But that's a lot of confidence in the tires because, as I said, these cars are not very... they like to hit the tires. So let's see how Foggy's lap times, and we'll have to make a longer stop next time by.
Michel Ricci also didn't change the tyres, so Ricci has got ahead of Jamie McKnight. Ricci now 10 seconds clear, so really worked out for Ricci out there, and yep, looking strong. Ricci, in fact, only 2 seconds behind Klosterman. Both have made stops. Klosterman making a move on Clyde Whiting. Ooh. I think that might be a slowdown, mightn't it? Oh, he's off the track as well. He's going to have to slow down here. Going to have to give up the position. But maybe he didn't quite cut it enough.
And Johnny Brandon is in from the first position.
Lattimore in as well, and Jackson. So that seems to be the cutoff. No further than 19 laps on these tyres. And Nicole Foggy will be, well, I guess he may not know if Brandon's in, but he's got to nail these first few corners. And I doubt Brandon's going to get ahead because Foggy's stop was so short.
The only drivers that have yet to stop are Woodward, Switzer, Clyde Whiting, and Ronald Moons. All the other drivers have stopped or are stopping right now.
Foggy will retake the lead. Brandon still stationary, clearly going on the same strategy as his teammate Michael Avdoka, but where will he be in relation to Avdoka? Avdoka passed, so Brandon still stationary. It's going to be a 35-second stop, 3 seconds slower than his teammate. Stephen Lattimore gonna be, yep, exactly the same stop for him, 34 seconds, and Jackson 34 seconds. Where's Richie compared to them? Richie has jumped them both. So Richie, with that short stop, has gone from 7th to 5th in that pit stop period. So clearly the tyres are a big importance here. And now I imagine if Dotka and Brandon are going to be chasing down Foggy for the next kind of half an hour.
It's going to be really interesting to see how these guys that did not change tires will fare in the long run, because I really think it is a risky strategy.
I think Foggy has changed tyres, guys. Just want to butt in here. I mean, he's just gone purple in Sector 2 and Sector 6. So that has to be fresh tyres, but just less fuel. So maybe he's thinking, well, I'm going to switch up to a 3-stop strategy and go with less fuel at this point, and do it that way. So perhaps some alternate strategies there. But that has to be tyres. There's no way he's doing purple laps on old tyres.
Yeah, you are right, and this adds to the magic of this race, because basically we got everybody on a different strategy, and it's all going to come back at the very end. So we will then understand what is going on, and we'll see a great race finish of the race, because these drivers, in the end, they will all get together, I think, and it's going to be good.
So let me just give you a quick rundown, because obviously I've got the data. It is on the live timing as well, and I did share the link on the for the spectators as well. So Foggy, with total pit time included, so this is pit lanes, so cone to cone, was 52.32 seconds. Avdoka was 1 minute 1.2. Then you had Johnny Brandon on a 1:05, 1 minute 05, and then Kloosterman was 1 minute 10. So I mean, massive differences in times there. Ritchie was 51.63 seconds, and then you got Lattimore 1 minute and 3 seconds, and actually the next 3 drivers, Jackson, McKnight, all 1 minute 3s, and then we've got Nikolai when he come in obviously very early on his 38.37. So that was just some fuel there. So don't know what that is. I expect he's off strategy with that, or kind of maybe a mistake left quali fueling or something like that. So, but yeah, so wildly different strategies from the front sort of 7 or 8 drivers.
And I think that this is what makes endurance racing so amazing. I mean, everybody has their own idea on how to get first at the end of the race, and they are all trying to execute their game plan accordingly. And the fact that we are a little bit left in the dark, I mean, adds to the magic of the race.
Yeah, and that slow stop for Kloosterman has put him right in the clutches of Michel Ritchie. Ritchie was looking for a move down into turn 1, couldn't make it, and Lattimore's right with them as well. Jackson is going to undoubtedly be catching up to them as well, but well, I wonder if there was a speeding penalty for Kloosterman. I really think it may have been, because he was so much slower than everyone else. Oh, wide Kloosterman and Ritchie. Oh, he should get a good drive here, Kloosterman, but he had a nice wide turn in. But do you think that may have been the case? Maybe a bit of the speeding in the pit lane and getting a penalty?
One thing is sure, I remember the Mount Panorama round, the 2 races there, and Kloosterman is making more mistakes in the first 21 laps here at Suzuka than he's done in the entire 2 races there. So he's feeling the pressure. I don't know. He's very fast driver, but he's making a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a penalty in his pits, because again, now he went wide. He made mistakes in the beginning of the race, and now Ricci is all over him.
Yeah, Klinsmann, he doesn't have the pace right now. He was 1.2 seconds slower than Foggy out in the lead. We know that he's not going to be able to do one less stop than the rest of the field because he pitted so early for his first stop. Maybe it's the ankle flaring up. We don't know that. But has had that injury throughout the season. But just seems to be struggling a little bit out there after such a strong qualifying as well, where he got pole position by a tenth of a second. But Ricci going well, Latimore right there as well. And do you think it could be the case where if Ricci stays behind for too many laps, he can maybe just get stuck there because Klinsmann will know where to defend?
Knowing Michele, he will try to make a move as soon as possible. He's not an aggressive driver in a sense that he doesn't go for contact, but when he wants to make a pass, he tries to force the issue because he knows this is valuable time he's losing, and it must be good for him at the very first race here, and he's battling with one of the top guys, and he's having a great race in the top 5 now, even though we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, judging by his pit stop time, he could be a little bit lower on fuel perhaps than his rivals like Klinsmann, Latimore and Jackson. McKnight also in the fight, Jose Borges in 9th. Richard Warming, I don't think we've had a word about Richard whatsoever today. He's completely by himself. He's 12 seconds behind Borges, 5 seconds ahead of Peter Bingham, who we also haven't seen too much of. He's running in 11th. Anthony Woodward in 12th, Katie Rose Taranto in 13th, right on Woodward's tail. Mainly the midfield kind of going for the same kind of strategies, 33, 34, 35 second pit stops amongst those lots. So not too much of diversity in strategy there. Sergei Glazkov in 14th, Phil Switzer 15th, Clyde Whiting in 16th. He joked earlier today or the other day how he was going to do a one-stop. Doesn't seem to be that way, but maybe...
I wouldn't be surprised, given what we've seen in the first 21 laps of the race. 23 now, but...
Nikolai Bogotayev has been in for a second stop, by the way. He's down back to 17th. Maybe had quality fuel early on. That's at least what Alex thought, and could certainly be the solution. He pitted on lap 4, so that would certainly add up. Lane O'Connor in 18th. He's pitted twice as well. He was quick last week, was Lane, but struggling a little bit today. Kevin Whitaker in 19th, Michael Frost 20th, and Ronald Moons in 21st position and a lap down. Just looking out in front, Foggy pulling away from Evdoka still, and by quite a bit.
You know, the gap is almost 12 seconds, so Foggy is looking very good today, looking very strong, and I thought he was going to have a tough time after the pits, but of course I don't understand anything, and he's actually pulling away from P2.
Yeah, could be on low fuel, just like Ricci, but we really don't know for certain. We'll wait to see. Hopefully we should get a decent indication maybe in the next kind of 15 laps or so when we see perhaps him hitting a little bit earlier. But right now he kind of needs to make hay whilst the sun is shining, so needs to pull out that gap as far as possible. Still Klinsmann holding on against Ricci. Ricci just dropping back a little bit to half second, and if anything Stephen Latimore now looks the raciest of these guys, and Chris Jackson also closing in just behind.
Oh, and he's
and off, yeah.
Wide. Oh, commentators today.
Oh, I'm being terrible recently. 3 last week, and now, first today. But apart from that, Latimore looks pretty good out there, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, and I think he will make back the gap to Ricci in a matter of a couple of laps. He's clearly looking like the faster guys of the 3, as you were saying.
Just looking for other battles down the field. Like I said earlier on, Taranto on the tail of Woodward. I think that's been the case for a while, at least since the pit stop. And I think maybe even before the pit stop. And Katie can't really make the move at the moment, just having to sit in behind. That's the battle for P12. So I don't think Katie's had a top 12 so far this season. So it'd be great to see her score a good result in this one. And of course, much more points for this event. The same as a win in this event is the same as a win in a normal feature and sprint race. So really important points this, and would certainly help these guys in the championship quite a bit. Brandon, I think on this lap, just closing in a little bit on Evdoka. Do you think Brandon and Evdoka will be thinking about the championship at all? Because Brandon really needs to beat Evdoka today to help his chances.
I think he will. I think he will. The time is ticking down on the championship. Only 2 rounds left. I think we have in a couple of weeks we will go to Austin, and then it's beautiful Oran Park. It's fitting to end the season in Australia, of course, in a track that will absolutely give us great racing, close racing. The time for this is the time when you only think about the championship. We see also in other real world championship like the IMSA championship, when they get to Petit Le Mans at the end of the season. Yeah, it's a great race, it's an important race, but people are thinking about the championship. So I think that Johnny Brandon will push hard and will try to make the move. As you said in the beginning of the broadcast, he's in front of Evdoka, but if we count the drop weeks, he's behind, so every point is vital for him.
Yeah, and Brandon on that last lap was 4/10 faster. Hasn't really been consistently faster in this stint. He's 6.5 seconds behind, so I doubt he's going to catch up before their next stops, unless there's a mistake of some kind. Still, Klisterman, Ricci, and Latsmore so close. Have you been surprised by the difficulty of overtaking? Because particularly like Latsmore has been struggling so much to make the overtakes.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. I thought that with the fact that these cars are very difficult to stop and to make them turn, I thought that there would have been a lot of mistakes, and there have been mistakes. These drivers are very good, but the cars are very hard to drive. But even though when a driver makes a mistake, the other driver is not always in a position to pounce on that mistake and make the pass. So I think that we talk about the pit strategy, and in the beginning I thought, yeah, maybe the pit strategy is important, but these guys will pass on the track. They will still pass on the track, but the pit strategy now is key to the unfolding of this event, and to who will eventually get to the podium and the top 5 position. So yeah, very, very hard to pass. We will see at the end maybe at the end of each stint, when the tires are gone, if we see more passing.
Yeah, certainly we could all. I think a lot of the drivers can't go and be coming together near the end of the race. We're going to see drivers maybe just behind closing in, and I think the climax of this race could be great. Building on your point you just said, how drivers aren't really taking advantage. Tony Klisterman just made a big error. Oh, an error now for Ricci. Latsmore down the inside. Ricci's not going to have a chance, and that is that's much better than what Ricci did in the Casio Triangle when Klisterman made a mistake, because Latsmore has pounced on that, and that was a really good opportunistic move in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is something you have to do if you want to finish high. If somebody makes a mistake and it's this hard to pass, you have to take advantage of that mistake. Good driving from Latimore. Ricci now trying to get the position back. As I said, after this hairpin, now there's a long stretch of the track where you are absolutely crazy if you try to make a move, especially now. Maybe later in the race, maybe, but yeah, from the hairpin until the Casio chicane, you have to stick with it. Unless
Ricci,
you're crazy.
you gotta be super brave, I think, to go for a move there. Ricci must be so frustrated because he's had good pace at the start of this stint, got stuck behind Klinsmann, has got less fuel, we think, than these other drivers, and really needs to kind of build a gap now whilst he's got the advantage of fuel. And instead, he's just been stuck behind Klinsmann, and then that mistake has let Lattimore pass. So now he's stuck behind a driver who's got a bit more fuel. Lattimore's looked pretty quick, to be fair, and he'll be fancy his chances against Klinsmann, maybe. Do you think it'll be maybe slightly more likely Klinsmann will be overtaken now that there's a new driver just behind him?
We'll see. With how Tony is driving today, with the mistakes he's been making, I think this is not a possibility that we can rule out. But Ricci will not give up.
Yeah, no, Katie versus Taranto. I was just looking back at that battle between Woodward and Taranto. Taranto's just made a mistake, lost 10 seconds on the last lap, and is now 11 seconds behind Woodward. Didn't lose any positions. 4 seconds back now is Sergei Glazkov. So there's really no kind of battles going on in that bottom half of the field. None at the front, although, of course, watch out for Evdokia and Brandon later on. Maybe their strategies will help them back into the event. The big battle. Oh, sorry, Klinsmann's got connection issues. Just seemed to disappear for a second there, and that's the last thing he needs.
Yeah, absolutely. You lose your focus, you lose your concentration. You pray that you remain on the server. So, luckily, it seems fine now, but those are scary moments, I can tell you.
Yeah, definitely. You're just waiting for yourself to appear again. Got no control over it, of course. Haven't seen Klinsmann have connection issues so far this season, but you never know, of course. He's just coming up to a lapped car here. Michael Frost, currently running in 20th position, 2 laps down. And this will be Klinsmann lapping Frost for the second time, of course. Just ahead. And yeah, Klinsmann could lose a little bit of time. What is there really any awful places to catch up the traffic around here?
Apart from the S's, no, because there you have to stay behind the driver, or if the driver is a gentleman, he will let you by, but it is risky to let somebody by in that part of the track. Apart from that, it's pretty safe to pass everywhere else when there's a lap car, and of course when there is cooperation from the other driver.
Klinsmann, if anything, just opening up the gap a little bit. Klinsmann 9 seconds behind Brandon, by the way, and his times have just started to improve a little bit now, Klinsmann. He was only a tenth slower than the leader on that last lap. Just looking at Klinsmann's times, he kind of gone from a kind of high 2-minute fours, slightly more consistent kind of mid 2-minute fours. Now that could be the fuel just going down and helping him. He's got a little bit more traffic now. Kevin Whittaker, and I think he might lose a bit of time here. Whittaker a little bit all over the place. Should lift off the throttle. And yeah, I thought that may be a little bit dangerous there, but got through. And now Whittaker's got to let past these two. This is not what Lattimore needs whatsoever. But again, Ricci's not there to take advantage. Whittaker off the circuit, but lets them through eventually. And again, Ricci, he's not really there. Whilst the chances are there. Oh my goodness, Lattimore, another slide. Here comes Ricci down the inside of Spoon. Can he make it? Yes, he can. No, he's got a big slide down the inside. Goes Lattimore. He's going to have to drag the second part of Spoon, sorry. And here comes back Ricci. They're going to be side by side. Going into 130R now, heading up the hill. And Ricci, doubt he's going to have a go down here. Looks to the outside. He needs to drive in line here to get the run down into the Casio triangle. A little bit more pace carried through the corner by Lattimore, and Ricci isn't going to be close enough. A couple of opportunities there, but Ricci could not take them.
Yeah, that was great driving from both drivers, and Klosterman is in. Yeah, Klosterman is in for a pit stop.
Okay. Yeah, I really should just shut up now, shouldn't I? Because I've been wrong on every single count. I thought he was, had lots of fuel in that car, but clearly not. And Klinsmann in on lap 28. then. So another 14 lap stint, and that's pretty clear he's going for a 3-stop.
Yeah.
Does also say you might have been right earlier on, Sam, when you said he might have had a penalty, because he had the longest stop out of all of them, but he's didn't take on sort of any more fuel or anything like that. So could well have had a penalty. We'll find out, I guess, if he comes in for an interview. See, I'm just trying to return the favour that you did earlier, where you tried to help me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks. He is just ahead of Peter Bingham, is Tony Chrisman, 3 seconds back to Richard Warmingham, and after that he'll have a nice 15-second lead to Borges. So one car he needs to overtake Chrisman. Maybe new tyres. I've got to say, considering that everyone else seems to be doing 2-stoppers and not even fuel saving, don't you think Klinsmann might be on the wrong strategy?
Right now, yes. And also he's not driving cleanly, and when you do a different strategy from other drivers to make it perfect, you also have to be consistent on the track, and he's made a lot of mistakes today. At least in the first part of the race. Let's see if he can redeem himself now in the second part of the race, because now we are definitely in the second half of the race. I know my maths are not very good, but lap 29 of 56, so it's almost time to go to the end of the race. Well, still a long way to go, of course.
Yeah,
and Michele Ricci is in now.
Oh yeah, so the 3-stop is clearly pitting, and that is a sign that Nick Foggy could be in soon. I'll quickly just take you through the order now that we're halfway through and we're just approaching the pit stops. Nick Foggy leading the race, Michael Evdoka second, Johnny Brandon third, Stephen Latsmore in fourth, Chris Jackson fifth, Jamie McKnight sixth, Michel Ricci will drop to I think about 12th. He's currently in 7th, but in the pits, Jose Borges 8th, Richard Warmingham 9th, Tony Klusman has pitted, but he's down in 10th. Peter Bingham 11th, Anthony Woodward 12th, Bill Switzer 13th, Clyde Whiting 14th, Nikolai Bogatire 15th, Lane O'Connor 16th, Sergei Glazkov 17th, Kevin Whitaker in 18th, Michael Frost 19th, Ronald Moons in 20th, and now Richie exiting the pits. You know what? He's not ahead of Klusman though. Klusman just ahead, and Klusman just makes the move on Richard Warmingham, so that was important. Clears Warmingham. Won't have to deal with any more traffic in the next few laps, and Ricci unable to make the jump. But that's a clear sign that they're on 3 stops, and we wait to see if Foggy will pit.
Yeah, good for Klusterman to pass Warmington, and now we are back. The cameras on our leader, Nicole Foggy, number 66. Of course not. He's not. Yeah, number 66.
Oh, he's in.
He's in. Yeah.
Oh, okay, well, this is really spicing up now. I was a bit concerned that maybe they're all going to go for 2 stops, but there's a clear divide in the strategy. Foggy in on lap 30 of 56. So, of course...
And Evdoka is in.
Evdoka is in. Oh, wow, okay. Do you think... Why on earth was Evdoka's pit so long then, previously? Surely he didn't pick up a slowdown as well, did he?
Well, I mean, I'm open to anything right now, because really these guys are making us guessing from up here, and we have not been very good up until now. And Johnny Brandon stayed out, by the way, and now he's the new leader.
Evdoka's ahead of Foggy. What a quick stop for Michael Evdoka. 7.7 seconds for Evdoka. What a pit stop. He is into the net lead. Foggy now only just exiting the pits. What on earth happened there for Nicole Foggy? Must have taken tyres, I imagine. And Foggy behind McKnight, behind Evdoka, behind Jackson. Wow, well, now we've got another element, the tyres, and yeah, well, I guess
I want to butt in again very quickly. Sorry, Sam. I think both drivers have took tyres. I don't think anybody's not taking tyres here. I may be wrong, but I think everybody's taking tyres. And what we saw on the last stint was Foggy taking less fuel than Evdoka, and that's why his lap times were a little bit quicker as well. He was a bit lighter to start off with. and he was able to pull away, and now it's switched back. So actually, Michael's stint with the heavier fuel was phenomenal to stay in that range. If you look at his pit stop time, Evdoka. Well, no, you might be right. He might not have taken anything, because that was
so short.
36.7 seconds, including the pit stop. So yeah, that's very random.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was thinking he was about 50 odd again, because that's kind of what like Klosterman's done and stuff like that. So I'm thinking people are saying taking maybe more fuel in one stint than the other, and that's kind of switching it around. So yeah, that may be a completely different curveball into that. I don't know if anyone can perhaps pop it back and see if see if the car jacked up at all, to see if we can get some sort of confirmation whether he has gone without tyres.
I thought I saw him on the jacks, I must say. Brandon has stayed out for another lap, by the way. I will just go back to see. Maybe usually in either. Yeah, he went on the jacks. That's for certain. What tyres he took, I don't know. But
we're expecting him in one more time, right? So it could be possible that
at least
the final stop, because people could make it on a 2-stop if they could fuel save well. It might be the 3 stops, only a splash and dash. So this could be Michael's splash now. That's the other possibility as well. So that could be why we're getting all excited that it could be tyres. If you think you saw him jack up, then we'll keep an eye on the lap times here. If the lap times are good, then I would probably go, that's what it is. That final stint is going to be a splash for everybody else. Michael's decided to take it now because he went really long on the last one, and he'll be around about 50 second stop or so on the last one, while the other guys are going to be sort of in the 30s, maybe. I just put that disclaimer in there somewhere.
Meanwhile, Tony Klosterman just set his fastest time of the race, 2:04.05. He's still P8.
could be new tyres maybe for Tony, making the difference. And I'm not quite sure what his last pit stop was. Marco, do you know what his Tony's last pit stop time was?
The timing screen says 1.6 seconds, but I don't think that this is accurate.
No, I don't think it was. No.
Was it Tony's? Tony, sorry.
Yeah. It
So
up on my screen.
So I've got 52.28 seconds. That's pit lane time, of course. If I check the live timing page, yeah, that's completely wrong. So with his 1.6, so that's his pit lane time was 52. So that's kind of comparable to what some of the other guys like Foggy did in the first stop. So and if you add 20 seconds to that, that's kind of where he would have been if you added a penalty sort of thing, you know, for the first stop. So that's possible. But yeah, definitely a shorter one than last time, I'm thinking.
Michael Evdoka just did a 2-minute 4.6. That's a good lap time. Foggy, 2-minute 3.3. He has got his foot down, hasn't he?
Yeah. Now lapping Michael Frost. And in P6 at the moment. Of course, now there are some drivers that still have to stop in front of him. Johnny Brandon, Steven Lattimore, Chris Jackson, the top three, all have to stop again. And so does the driver in P5, JB McKnight.
Well, Evdoka's time was good. 2-minute 4.6. That's 6 tenths faster than Johnny Brandon out in the lead, who, like you said, hasn't pitted. Also, a little shout out to Stephen Lattimore doing a great job there in second place. He's only 10 seconds behind the second place in the championship, let's say, Johnny Brandon. And Chris Jackson keeping his nose clean as well. Had a bit of a quiet race since being overtaken by Lattimore, but he's doing well in third. Might be overtaken by Evdoka soon, I think. And Richie in ninth, 2.8 seconds behind Klosterman. And those two are fighting for position. So just yeah, watch out for that little battle. Could be important for maybe 4th position overall. But those two on the 3-stop. But if you had to call it now, Marco, would you what way would you say is the best? Do you think a 2-stopper is faster or a 3-stopper?
I think 3 stops, but I am terrible at strategies, so maybe 2 is the faster way around. I really have no idea right now, because all these drivers, and Evdoka almost around. He was basically sideways entering the Casio triangle. I don't know how he saved the car there, because that was crazy.
He's been watching too much MotoGP, I think, backing it in there.
Yeah.
You know, he's done that every lap. I swear, I've seen him go into that corner. Every time he seems to lock the rears, and that time it nearly got too much for him, like you said. And he's now really under pressure from Jamie McKnight. He's got good pace in this portion of the race. 2-minute 4.6 on the last lap for McKnight. That's faster than the race leader, second place and third place, and faster than Michael Abdoka as well. Nicole Foggy is closing in on these guys by a second a lap. So by the end of this stint, we are going to see those two right close to each other. And, well, these two could be, like, fighting each other on track with one pit stop to go. And their last pit stop should be equal timing. So this is really spicing up to be an awesome finale to this race.
Yeah, Johnny, Brandon, Latimore, and Jackson are all going longer. Still only with one stop. All 3 guys stopped on lap 20. So I would assume they are on the same strategy.
Yeah, they've got a while to go still. Brandon probably needs to make it to about lap 36 at least. And he's on lap 34, so at least 2 more laps at the end of this one. I think it's probably going to be 3 or 4, however. Brandon got clear at the moment, pretty lucky with the traffic. And yeah, it's he needs to really push hard, because we were talking about the championship fight earlier on. And do you think maybe Brandon wanted to do the opposite of his teammate, just to try to beat him one way or another?
It is something that we see usually on oval races when you are in the final part of the race. Say opposite of the leader, to try something different. Maybe that's what he tried to do, because he needs to finish in front of him, because like we said in the beginning, with the drop weeks he's behind. So we know we still have 5 races to go, because we have 2 races at Circuit of the Americas and 3 races at Oran Park. So the championship still is a long way to be over, but yeah, only 2 rounds left. So this is the time to try to win the championship. Let's see. I'm pulling for these guys on the opposite strategy now in the front, because I want to see a multi-car finish at the end, and I think that will happen, because everybody on a different strategy will come together at the end. It's going to be very interesting now. Let's see how many laps Johnny Brandon does go from now. As I said, lap 20 is last stop.
Well, looking at the times, well, actually no, Brandon, good time that last time round. 2-minute 4.9. His teammate Evdoka, 2-minute 5.1. Foggy, 2-minute 3.8. He's on a different planet to everyone else. I don't think anyone else has set a 2-minute 3 apart from Evdoka, and he's far from that at the moment. And Foggy is now only 7 seconds behind Evdoka. Those two were leading earlier on, nose to tail. Foggy seemed to have the advantage on pace, and he's certainly got the advantage now, but a longer second stop has caused him to fall behind a bit. But we think either fresher tyres or less fuel mean that he's in a great position right now. Brandon stays out, so this is, yeah, Brandon could pit this time round, or it's going to be in the next couple of laps, but I think whatever happens, he's going to be a long way behind Foggy and Evdoka.
Sorry, Sam, did you mention there that Evdoka's lap times have now fallen off into the 2:05s?
Yeah,
because that has to be no tyres. If he just had a splash, he must be quicker than Foggy as well, because he'd be on less fuel. So yeah, even though we thought maybe we saw him jacked up, looking at the times and the fact that he's backing it in and having a few slides last lap, he nearly lost it coming onto the main straight as well. The fact that McKnight can keep up with him right now, even though he's okay. McKnight's on slightly lower fuel because he hasn't done his second stop yet. that has got to be what he's done. He's thrown the curveball with the with keeping the same set of tyres on. So
Katie Rose Taranto has quit the race, by the way. Just trying to look to see what happened to Katie. Was having a decent run, I think, in about P14.
it was a long time ago as well, actually. Might be able to get that back on replay actually for you, where it went off. Here we go. So okay. So she just drove straight through the final chicane. Went into the pits. And then retired.
Yeah, disappointing way to end.
Yeah, I don't know. So, very strange.
I think that the first of the two stoppers went in, Jose Borges now, and he's coming up to the pits as of this moment. So I think he's the first guy on a two-stop strategy that has pitted. So we will see the other guys coming in shortly, I think.
Brandon stays out this time. Latimore's round. Latimore's round in the Casio Triangle. He has, wow.
He's got a pit, surely. Get into the pits now, you've lost so much time. He's not going to.
He's got a slowdown as well, so he may as well pit, shouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. He would have served it there and then.
Oh, he's going to be under pressure from Jackson, perhaps. It was a good save, to be fair, but he's going to lose a lot of time because of it. And Jackson not too far behind now, so 5 seconds behind.
Yeah, McKnight is in now.
Right, so yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Marco, the two stoppers are beginning to come in. Moonlight's had such a quiet race up there. Just looking for maybe a top 8 finish would be pretty good for him. But he now is stationary. Going to be behind Richie, I assume. It depends how quick the stop is. It's going to be a full stop, actually, isn't it? It's going to be kind of 34 seconds-ish. Stationary, at least. That's about 1 minute 5, I think, overall pit time. And yeah, it should be around Anthony Woodward, I think. But seems like Brandon's going to have... he's got one more stop to go, hasn't he? And this one, he might not have to put in a full tank of fuel because he's gone a little bit further, perhaps, than his target.
Richard Wormington is also in. I think that Johnny Brandon will come in either this lap or the next lap.
Yeah, and Latimore and Jackson still out there as well. Latimore just dropping back a little bit recently. His times have just gone down a little bit. Was kind of matching Brandon for a while, but has just started to struggle recently. Brandon just going into the final chicane. Quite slow, I thought, maybe into there, but just a bit careful of these really old tyres now on that car. Brandon stays out again. So he's done terrifically on fuel.
And Latimore is around again. Oh no, he saved it.
Oh, he's going to leave out to Jackson, isn't he? Here comes Jackson. Is he going to get a slowdown, Latimore? And Latimore does pit this time, so he won't have to serve the slowdown. That's the smart thing to do.
Yeah. Again, a nice save, but...
I was going to say, there is only, 18, 19 laps to go, and they did 20 laps in the first stint, so he can make it from now, so, yeah, needed to get in there, really, didn't he? And this is why we're seeing, I think, Brandon Jackson stay out, because they did 20 laps in that first stint, so we could see him pit on lap 40 at the very latest, so they'll take as little fuel as they possibly need then for the final stint, because it's only going to be sort of 16 laps, you know, for them, so they should be able to do it easy. So you were right when you mentioned earlier, Sam. Actually, some of these guys actually, it's not been difficult to fuel save at all. They've really been able to get the numbers, no problem.
Oh, and we have a car in the fence. It's O'Connor coming out of the second danger, and now he's going back on the track, but he has some damage on the front of his car. Yeah, big damage there.
Yeah, classic in this car. We've seen it a few times today. Just the wheel spin is so difficult to control. Really do respect these drivers out here for doing, 56 laps in such powerful cars. And Lane should be okay, I think, with that. I think that should just be aero damage. Don't think it's going to cause any steering damage, and he should be able to carry on okay. He lost He lost a bit of time, but I don't think he lost a position out there. Brandon just going up into 130R now. Just a little bit of a reference. Foggy is 25 seconds behind, and they both have a stop to go. Brandon's stop is going to be significantly longer, however, but Foggy is closing in at 2 seconds a lap currently, and it's now only 3 seconds behind Michael Evdotka. So, I think Brandon's in. Brandon's in.
He's in.
So, this is going to be kind of where we get a decent reference and the target for Foggy, because he's going to undoubtedly be a long way behind, but it's how far behind it is going to be the important question. And Jackson in it as well, yeah. So Evdotka will lead. No, Evdotka's in! Oh my goodness. So Evdotka had that super short second stint. You know what? I don't think that's worked for him, has it? Surely not, because he's going to have the same length of pit stop as Brandon.
Yeah, this is what I was saying, that he's possibly had that. He's gone for the 3 stop, but that's a short little splash kind of thing. But you're right, it's not worked at all, has it? Definitely the wrong decision there.
So Brandon is ahead. They're going to have Brandon 35 seconds stationary. Wonder if that's tyres or not. Where is Evdotka? His championship rival still stationary. It hasn't worked, has it? Because we've seen that the drivers go so easily on 2 stops, and it's as though Evdotka's just had an unnecessary 3rd stop.
Yeah, it's just not the right choice there, I think, on the strategy. Sorry, just to keep biting into the strategy calls. I love to try and figure them out. But yeah, that was a curveball that that ended up being a foul ball there, I think, for Evdotka.
So Foggy now leads. Foggy leads, has been super quick recently. So has Tony Klusman, 24 seconds behind those, Tony, on a similar strategy. And then Richie in 3rd, still going decent. And then Brandon came out in 4th place in no traffic. Lattimore in 5th, had a slightly quicker stop than Brandon. But yeah, Brandon now 35 seconds behind. So the target now for Foggy is to get in and out of the pits in less than 35 seconds. Is pretty much the target for him. And that's it. It looks as though it's now a 2-way battle, don't you think, Marco?
Yeah, right now, yeah, because all these guys in between, they are not going to make it until the end of the race. So Foggy and Brandon will put on a show. Let's see. I have no idea what the gap is going to be at the end of the pit stop, because we've seen all different times, pit stop times from all the drivers. So who knows what Foggy will do with his pit stop.
Yeah, maybe he's going to the end. We really have no idea. We've seen bigger surprises than that so far. Foggy still out there, and yeah, brilliant drive from him so far, Foggy. He had that one mistake, didn't he, coming out of turn 1, which nearly cost him a position. In the end, didn't really lose him any time. But I must say, I think he's been the fastest driver out there today. Another 2-minute 4.5. He's about a second slower than he was earlier on in the stint. So those tyres clearly degrading quite a bit. Do you think he will want new tyres for the last stint, or will he stick with these older tyres?
I would go to new tires, absolutely. I don't know how much it will cost him a little bit of time, but if you got old tires against new tires, well, you aren't going anywhere. So you need those fresh tires. The good thing is that he will not require a lot of fuel. He will require a little bit of fuel, but the more he goes, the less fuel he has to put in the car to go to lap 56. Meanwhile, the gap with John and Brandon is still around 35 seconds, so it's stationary at the moment.
Yeah, Brandon on fresh tyres, I believe, so he should have the advantage currently on Foggy, because Foggy's got must be about 15 lap hole tyres, 10 lap hole tyres, I think. So Jose Borges just pitted. Michel Ricci just pitted, by the way. He's come out behind Jose Borges. Another little interesting battle between the 2-stopper and 3-stopper. Borges should get to the end of the race. Ricci 7 seconds behind, but has fresher tyres and won't need to worry. That's all about the fuel. So yeah, it might be worth watching that one a little bit. Should be interesting to see Ricci trying to close back that gap. Evdoka also made a move on McKnight. Evdoka back up to 6th. Next up, Chris Jackson. He's now 10 seconds behind. No, sorry, 20 seconds behind his teammate Johnny Brandon. Has not been good whatsoever for Michael Evdoka. And yeah, that alternate strategy perhaps has not worked out in comparison to his championship rival. What about Kloosman? Where do you think Kloosman might be able to fit into all of this? He's got one more stop to go, of course.
Tough question. Not on the podium. I think he will finish around P7, maybe. Maybe we'll battle with Jamie McKnight again. Let's see. Maybe he will be able to have a very quick stop in the end. I don't know how much farther can he go.
Yeah, must be coming in relatively soon. Yeah, I think around Jamie McKnight's region, I think it's going to be about right for him. After his pole position earlier today and his Bathurst win so comfortably, his first Bathurst win 2 weeks ago, really thought that maybe we'd see a Tony Kloosman domination today. Has not proved to be the case. Maybe the strategies are just not working for him. But yeah, seems as though he's going to have to settle for a place not on the podium, unfortunately. McKnight still staying pretty close to Evdoka. Evdoka closing in on Chris.
Very risky overtake by Nicole Foggy on Anthony Woodward at the Casio chicane for, of course, he was lapping the other driver and he almost lost the car coming in. He did not lose a lot of time, and now the other lap car, Sergei Glaskov, moves away. Gap is 34.7 seconds to Johnny Brandon.
6/10 faster for Brandon on that last lap. He's bringing down the gap, but so it can be super close actually when he comes out of the pits. And it really depends whether or not he takes tyres. Like I said earlier, maybe would be smarter to take tyres for Foggy, but we'll wait and see. He could maybe get to the end of the race on one set, but it'd be very risky, and he could be a sitting duck later on. Just focus on this battle for a little bit. Woodward versus Glaskov. Both have pitted 2 times. Glaskov, I think he needs to pit one more time actually. So Glaskov going for the 3-stopper, and yeah, he needs to. And Woodward doesn't need to pit again. So it seems like it's just going to be routine for Woodward to make that move perhaps and move up into P12. Not too many other battles going on. Bogatyra close to Clive Whiting, and Bogatyra already pitted 3 times. I think he may have to pit 4 times after that issue in the pits. And here comes Bogatyra. I thought he was going to go for the move there on Whiting. Just look to the inside. Can he go for a move into the hairpin? A little bit of defense from Whiting. I think Bogatyra, if he goes down the inside, going to have perhaps the better line for this next section. As Marcus said earlier on, it's difficult to overtake through this section of corners, especially Spoon, but maybe you can just line it up for the back straight going into 130 up. Just remains behind at the moment. Bogatyra getting really close on the back bumper of Whiting, and now get the foot down, get the exit. Here he comes, got the slipstream. It's not going to be ahead, I think, by the time they approach 130 up, but he might fancy his chances into the Casio triangle. At least line it up for the first corner. Johnny Brandon's closing in on these two, and they need to make sure that they clear themselves up. Otherwise, Brandon will be in the middle of a bit of a storm, I must say. But at the moment, Bogatyra just having to sit behind.
And Klosterman is in for his first stop.
Yeah, we'll wait to see where he comes up. Should be, like I said earlier, should be around Jamie McKnight, we think. should certainly be ahead of Jose Borges and Michel Ricci. That's pretty much certain. Let's see if he takes tyres, and he does. He's on the jacks. Here's Klisterman, and yep, just lots more going past, and Chris Jackson going past as well. Michael Abdoka, Jim McKnight going past, and Jose Borges just going through 130 up, and Klisterman 25 seconds now stationary, and away he goes. So decent stop for Klisterman, and I think he might just stick in that 7th place to the end of the race now.
Yeah, he's got a long way to catch up McKnight, hasn't he? 17 seconds, so pretty hefty. Definitely, I'm pretty sure that was a penalty that he got now. Looking at all the rest of the stops, feels looks like a 20-second penalty, and he's kind of put him 20 seconds back.
Yeah,
not been the race for him though.
Brandon still 34 seconds behind. He was 3/10 faster on the last lap, having to deal with a little bit of traffic like we were commenting earlier. Glaskov and Woodward having a bit of a battle. Oh, sorry, Whiting, Bogataya having a bit of a battle. He's got past Bogataya, still got Whiting to pass. Foggy stays out again. Must say he's Marco, he's really extending this stint out, isn't he? He's not going to need a very long time to stop.
Yeah, this is going to help him with fuel, but I don't know if maybe it's time to stop now and take those tires, because of course he's going to lose time the more he goes without a pit stop.
Yeah, perhaps a really good battle just boiling now is Latmore, Jackson and Evdoka, because Evdoka is on 3-stop, of course. Doesn't seem to have really worked for him, but he's got fresher tyres than the 2 cars ahead of him, and he's quite a bit faster. In fact, actually, Latmore on that lap improving slightly. Evdoka still closing in handsomely on Jackson. That last lap, half a second faster, 3 seconds behind now, looking to really close up that gap and just recover the championship points, or as many as he possibly can. This is absolutely crucial. Every point they pick up, because it's so close against him and Johnny Brandon. But do you think he'll look back at this race, Marco, and regret going for that 3-stop strategy, because it really doesn't seem to have worked?
Yeah, that was probably, among all the strategies that we've seen today, that was the less efficient, and that very short stop. He had 7 seconds, did not pay in the end at all. So it's damage limitations now for him. And now Borges is pitting again. He made a mistake at the final chicane and went straight in.
Quick stop, only 11.4 seconds. Sorry, earlier on I said Borges was going to the end, but clearly not. And yeah, like you said, having to pit again. And drops down to P11. Should be a little bit of fun now for him to try to gain positions, but he's 10 seconds behind the next car, who is Peter Bingham, and then another 10 seconds to Richard Warman. So looks like it's going to be a bit of a dull climax to this event for Jose Borges. And Bogotayev still looking for the move on Whiting. Bogotayev really close here. Will Whiting pits, maybe? No, Whiting stays out another lap, going far, just like Foggy. And here comes Bogotayev. He can't really make the move right now. And Glaskov actually in as well. So Glaskov just pitted. These 3 stoppers, this is kind of the end of how far they can go. We're on lap 44 now. And surely Foggy can't go much further. But yeah, he's saved a lot of fuel so far. But are you sticking with the choice of taking the tyres? Or because if he doesn't take tyres, I think he'll have track position, won't he?
Well, it's difficult. I have really no idea, because you could do both things. You could only take fuel or take fuel and tires. I really don't know what to do at this point, because I would have stopped a little bit earlier when the gap was a little bit bigger between the drivers. It is still 35 seconds, so it has not changed much in the last few laps. I think that if Foggy takes tires, he's going behind Brandon, even if by a little bit. But with the fresh tires, should be able to pass. Not easily, because we've seen it's not easy to pass. It's going to be very, very interesting, and I think that the pit stop is imminent. We are lap 44 or 45, sorry, for the leaders. So we are getting closer to 10 to go.
Yeah, I'll just take us through our order at the moment. Nicole Foggy leading, still got one more stop to go, remember. Johnny Brandon trailing by 36 seconds. Just starting to lose a little bit of time now as Brandon. Those tyres just degrading a little bit. And Foggy reinstating that handicap that he had initially. Stephen Lattimore in third place. He looks strong for a podium maybe. Chris Jackson, bit of a quiet race for him, but he's driven really consistently, really well in fourth position. Michael Abdoga, his strategy just hasn't worked. He could still maybe recover a podium, but it's looking difficult for him right now. Jamie McKnight in sixth place, bit of a quiet race for him. Tony Klusterman closing in that gap by 2 seconds a lap. Watch out for Klusterman with a few laps to go. He might be threatening McKnight for that sixth position. Michel Ricci, really bumpy road for him today, but he looks pretty solid in that 8th place. Richard Bromley, quiet race for him in 9th. Jose Borges has recently got himself back up into the top 10. Anthony Woodward in 11th, Clyde White in 12th. Nikolai Bogatyrov, despite that early pit stop, is in 13th. Bill Switzer 14th. Peter Bingham is in 15th. Sergei Glasgow in 16th. Lane O'Connor, he's had a couple of issues with damage, in 17th. Michael Frost 18th. Kevin Whitaker 19th, and Ronald Moons currently in 20th position. And then Taranto, Dalladone, Branch, Winther and Janssen have all had issues and no longer running. Let's see if Foggy pits this time round. Nope, he keeps on going. Okay, this is incredible.
Yeah, he had a big moment coming out of Spoon Curve this very lap. So I thought maybe the tires were done and he was going to pit. No, he stays out. And we are now with 10 laps to go. This is going to be, I think, a very short pit stop. And the gap is still 35 seconds. So Brandon is not gaining and is not losing. The gap is pretty much been the same since Brandon had his final pit stop.
Yeah, clearly the tyres and the fuel kind of just equaling out. You know, Brandon's got newer tyres, but Foggy's probably got about maybe 10 less laps of fuel at least, it seems. So, seems to be really equal on pace at the moment. By the way, Clyde White and Nikolai Bogatyrov just returned to this little battle for P12 and P13. Peter Bingham trying to get himself involved in this now. Only 2 seconds behind. He's just had a pit stop and is quite a bit faster, I think, than these two. He changed tyres, did Bingham, so he should be racing through these drivers. And another driver on fresher tyres is Michael Abdoka. He's 2 seconds behind Chris Jackson now, closing in by about half a second a lap. He's edged closer and closer. And would you say, Marco, would you rather be Abdoka or Jackson? Would you rather have the fresh tyres or the track position at this point in the race?
Abdoka, absolutely, because it's getting very late in the race. You are not as fresh, I mean, mentally and physically as you were in the beginning. So having fresh tires is a good advantage, because not only you have to deal with old tires, but you also have to deal with the fact that you have been racing for almost 2 hours now. And of course, the driver behind with fresh tires, the race is ending, he will be more aggressive, so he will be eager to make the pass.
Still, Nicole Foggy stays out, by the way. Because Clyde Whiting, as I mentioned earlier, was joking that he'd do a one-stop. And Yeah, not too far off that right now. And he's still going around there. He's got a little bit of a queue just falling behind him now. Bogotyrev and Bingham particularly much faster than these two. And Bogotyrev 6 tenths behind, seems to have run out of ideas. And you know what? All these laps spent behind, he's a little bit wide as well. Here comes Bingham on the fresh tyres. Bogotyrev can't really get the power down. And here comes Bingham down the pit straight into the slipstream. I don't think he's going to have a chance into turn one unless he's super brave. Bogotyrev Whiting just pulls out a little bit of a lead. Bingham looks to the inside, a little bit wide for Bogotyrev. He's really wide. Here comes Bingham down the inside. And Bingham makes the move. That was pretty easier than he expected, I think. And Bogotyrev with those old tyres falling down the field. Evdotka closed in by another 3 tenths on Jackson on that last lap. This is really hotting up. Got a little bit of traffic as well. They're kind of in this pack, or closing in on it at least. And Bill Switzer just in between those two cars. And Jackson actually only 3.5 seconds behind Lattimore. So keeping the pressure on those two. On Jackson, but doesn't seem to be breaking any time soon. But it's really the top two that we're focusing on right now, Foggy and Brandon. And Foggy is finally into the pits.
And we got Brandon coming out of Spoon Curve right now, so get a little bit of a gap to make up. Let's see this pit stop. How long does it take?
Will he take tyres? That's the question. Will we see him go up on the jacks? Brandon going into the final chicane. Foggy not going up on the jacks at the moment. Is he just taking fuel? He's still stationary. Brandon is coming across the line now. Foggy still stationary. Still taking fuel seemingly. Brandon's going to take the lead. Through goes Johnny Brandon into the lead of the race. Nicole Foggy now gets away. Did he take tyres, I wonder? 21 second stop. I didn't see him go up on his jacks. Did you see that, Marco?
It was not very clear from my position. I think he did, but that was a very quick stop. Maybe that was because of the little amount of fuel he had to put in. So maybe he had new tires. We will see by the lap times very soon. Even though it's lap 49 now, so there's not a lot of time to go, and Johnny Brandon is looking very good in the race and in the championship.
Yeah, I must say, if it was for only fuel, I would have thought Foggy would be faster. After we saw that second stop for Evdotka earlier on, I was expecting something like that if he didn't take tyres. So
definitely tyres, guys. Second sector,
tyres. Okay, thanks for
optimal
that.
Straight away. Sector 2, optimal. So he's quick.
This is on. So 8 seconds to catch, and he has got. This is lap 49 of 56. This is proper intense now, and Brandon. Brandon must be really scared right now to see that blue car approaching him really quick.
The one thing that's good for him is that Michael Evdotka is in 5th position, so even if he finishes 2nd, he's going to gain some ground on him. Even though I think he wants to win the race, because you want to win the race. You've been battling for 2 hours, and you want to win the race.
Yeah, and any point he can pick up will be useful. Also, the instance as well plays a part in this series. The more instants you get some penalty points. So that's important to recognise. Michael Evdotka so far this season has been superb in that. Johnny Brandon not so good, but like I said, Evdotka really good so far this season. Not picking up many incidents, and that's helped him in the championship battles. So Foggy exited the pits about 8 seconds behind, down to 7.2 now. Needs about a second a lap to make up the time difference. And it's really hotting up actually now between Latimore, Jackson and Evdoka. I thought Latimore was going to get that third place quite comfortably, but in fact Jackson on that last lap was 8 tenths faster, taking advantage of the traffic a little bit, and Evdoka was 8 tenths faster than Latimore. So yeah, really closing in amongst this slot. So we've got, I said earlier on how everyone's going to kind of be merging towards each other by the end of the race, and that certainly seems to be how it's going to happen, with the top two closing in on one another, and then third, fourth, and fifth doing the same.
And now the gap is under 7 seconds between number P1 and P2, so Foggy is definitely closing on Johnny Brandon.
Jackson made a mistake, I think, there. All of a sudden, he's being swamped by Evdoka as well. He's got traffic ahead of him.
Yeah, and he's clear these two drivers. They are Bingham closing in on Whiting. So Whiting seemingly holding up his teammate a little bit. And I must say, it's probably better for... Oh, wow. This is not what Jackson needs whatsoever. They're losing touch with Latimore out in the lead. And now Evdoka's going to be so close. Do they let him past here? They're still fighting amongst each other. They're going to go side by side now. Just ahead. Bingham trying to go on the offensive, and here comes now Jackson on the inside. Should get one at least. Evdoka tries to follow him through. Evdoka can't afford to get involved in an incident. He doesn't. Can he go to the inside here? Big slide for Jackson. Jackson's slow, going to be slow on the exit. Here comes Evdoka. Needs to get the run. This is crucial. Championship point to get such a big slide, does Michael Evdoka. But he's still in the slipstream, right behind Chris Jackson. They're not going to clear the 71 car in time. Defensive from Jackson. Round the outside goes Evdoka. He needs this all the way round the outside through the first part. Through the second part, he can get the inside for the third part. He's nearly lost it. Oh my goodness me, I thought that was curtains for the pair of them. Evdoka, I thought he'd made it, but clearly those marbles just affecting him too much.
Meanwhile, Nicole Foggy, fastest lap of the race, 2:03.3 and 5.5 seconds from between Brandon and Foggy. Jimmy McKnight is in the pits.
I shoot for McKnight. He couldn't go far enough in fuel. That's really ruined his race, I think. But out's in the lead. Like you said, Foggy closing in. Evdoka still close on Jackson. Evdoka could go for a Kobayashi move here. Going into the hairpin. Not quite. I must say there was half a chance that gets close on the apex. Remember, Evdoka's got much fresher tyres than Jackson. They've both lost contact with Stephen Latimore, and now slow is Clyde Whiting, lets him pass, reverse letting past Jackson, and now there goes Evdoka through bit of contact. Whiting getting hit by his teammate Bingham, but Evdoka close again to Jackson, not going to get it done until 130R. Foggy, meanwhile, within 5 seconds now, we are on lap 50. We are now starting lap 52 of 56, and Foggy, let's see how much faster he is on this lap. 1.4 seconds faster, 4.6 seconds to catch. Can he do it, Marco?
I think he can, while Evdoka has got another big moment coming up to the last corner, almost sideways. 2 proper battles for the first 4 positions. 5 positions. So Stephen Latimore is all by himself and is, I think, pretty happy about his race.
Yeah, he'll be quite happy that he's not involved in any of these issues. Michael Frost, just looking at the traffic just ahead of the leaders actually. Of course, really, Foggy wants no traffic just so he can pummel in his lap times. They got Richard Warmingham, who's currently in 11th. He's fighting no one. He hasn't been fighting anyone all day. He will let them past, I think, without a hesitation. Michael Frost, we saw him cause some issues for the leaders earlier on, I think, and he's going quite slowly out there, is Frost. He's about 4 seconds off the pace. and I wonder if maybe he could be a little bit awkward to overtake. Anthony Woodward, I don't think they're going to catch up to, so just got 2 more lap cars to pass. Does Brandon. Foggy now within 4 seconds of the lead. Evdoka still close to Jackson. Evdoka trying to get the run out of the hairpin. Trying to get the run down into Spoon. But he doesn't seem to quite be able to make it. How desperate do you think Evdoka will be to... will he be seeing a 4th place, or will he be seeing maybe 5 extra points in the championship, Marco?
He wants these points. He maybe doesn't know that Johnny Brandon is on worse tires than Foggy, so he doesn't know that there will... Oh, we got an attack on the outside that was very risky.
Go for it. He's got the inside maybe for the final corner. Here he goes. He's got to go for it, Brandon. Down the inside. Can't make it.
Long story short, he wants to make the pass. He wants to get the point. Because we don't know if Foggy will be able to pass Brandon, in all seriousness. And he tries again on the outside. That's a big
my
crash.
goodness. Wow. That was as close as... Oh, and he's got damage. I think that's Jackson with steering damage maybe. My goodness me. How on earth did that happen? Just, I'm not sure who went into who there. Oh, I think, you know what? I think it was Jackson just sliding across into a docker. And he's got major damage now as Jackson. He's squirmishing around. He's going to be under pressure from Klusterman. He's 13 seconds behind. But Docker got the move done. What was your perspective on that, Marco?
That was a weird one. The car on the inside. Jackson, I think, moved on the left. And they got together. So, but of all the places to have a crash on the straightaway, that was quite odd. And too bad, because Jackson was having a very good race and his car is badly damaged.
Yeah, and we've got a few more laps to go, unfortunately. We have got 4 more to go after this one, I think. No, sorry, 3 more to go after this one. So, yeah, Brandon still in the lead. He was 1.4 seconds slower than Foggy again on that last lap. Brandon now behind Warmingham. This is the traffic that could cause them issues, perhaps. But Warmingham goes to the inside. He has been so clean today. Hasn't really fought anyone. Brandon struggling to get it stopped for the Casio Triangle. Warmingham just ahead of Foggy. I have no doubt Warmingham will just get out of the throttle here to let Foggy pass. He does not want to have any say in this battle, but he's not going to be, he's not going to lift off enough. And he now needs to hope Foggy that he doesn't get held up through the S's. The gap is down to 2.1 seconds. That last lap, 1 second taken out of the lead. Foggy is giving it his all. The battle for 3rd is over. Battle for 4th is over. Maybe battle for 5th could be on. Klusterman closing in on Jackson, but this is the main battle out on track.
And Jackson is in the pits.
Oh dear. So disappointed to see, because he was having a great run, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Could be a meatball as well there, couldn't it, for him? Which means his race will be done, you know? So close.
Yeah, I think the right front was destroyed by that contact with the wall.
Oh, Foggy's been held up by Warmingham. Oh, Warmingham! Wow. Thought he spun up the tyres there. He has lost crucial tenths in that as Foggy. He spent, I think it was through the Degners, he lost time. He hasn't made up any time on this lap so far. Gap's still at 2 seconds. And you think through that SS section he would usually make up at least half a second. But he's still got the laps to do it. Oh, if you're Nicole Foggy, Marco, you must be just driving on adrenaline right now, mustn't you?
Yeah. You see the car in front of you, you know that is first place and a prestigious win in an endurance event. So you want to make the pass, of course. Lost a bit of time, but there's still a couple of laps to go, and 1.5 seconds now, so Brandon will have his hands full. I mean,
so I just saw Brandon squirmishing on the brakes going into the Casio Triangle. 1.3 seconds. Foggy's going to be on his tail, but he's going to have 1 lap to do it. We've got 2 to go. Can he make up the gap? It's 1.2 seconds. He was still a second faster. I said how he lost time in the traffic, and yet he still made up a big amount of time. He's going to have 1 lap to do this. What a conclusion to this event. I must say, at times we've known that this strategy was going to end up like this, but there are times in this race where perhaps the overtaking wasn't really happening, and the leaders were spread out. But now there is less than a second between the top 2. It is Brandon, followed by Foggy. Any chance now for Foggy? 8 tenths of a second behind. He may not have a run on this lap. He's going to have probably just the final lap, 17 turns to get it done. But he's closing in so much, I must say, down to 6 tenths. He's taken half a second out on this lap already. Will it be a surprise attack? Surely Brandon's just got to defend in every single corner on that last lap, hasn't he, Marco?
Yeah, because Foggy will try in every corner. I suspect that he will maybe try for a pass at the end of this lap if the gap is sufficient. Otherwise, I think there will be an attack on maybe on the hairpin, or again at the end of the very final lap. Let's see, because Brandon is really struggling right now.
Quickly, just before we see this battle, Jim McKnight had a short. Jim McKnight had Chris Jackson had a short pit stop. He had that meatball, we think, but got back out in time. But now we put all our eyes onto this leading battle. Brandon ahead of Foggy still. Foggy hasn't got the run outside the Casio Triangle to have it go into turn 1. His chances, he's got 17 corners to go to make the move. He's close. Can he go for a dive into turn 1? No. Has to sit in behind. This is where he made an error earlier on, did Foggy. There's no way through going on to Yetters, or is there? He's right on the tail now of Brandon. Brandon holding on through the first few S's, but he's got to be so aware of his mirrors because Foggy has got so much more grip. Brandon must be sliding about all over the place. Is there a chance? Maybe. Not quite into this long corner. We'll head down to the Degnan. They've got Anthony Woodward just ahead. He shouldn't interfere. Brandon just ahead on lap 56 or 56. As we reach the 2-hour mark of this event, and what an event it's been. Brandon holding on. We haven't seen a move into this hairpin all day long. Will Foggy be the first? He's too far behind, I think. And he just has to sit in behind for now. Brandon got decent traction from the hairpin. And Foggy, he's struggling to get any closer. He's 4 tenths behind. This is about the same gap as last time. He should have the run through Spoon. This is where he was so quick at the start of the race. And now he's lining it up. He's got to absolutely nail this traction zone here. He's close. He's nailed the traction. And now here comes Foggy in the slipstream. Any chance into 130R. Warming him, the car, Woodward gets out of the way. Foggy so close. Brandon. Surely he's got to defend into the Casio Triangle. Brandon defends. To the outside goes Foggy. Can he go round the outside here? He tries it. He can't make it. Can he get the traction on the exit? It's going to be Johnny Brandon, surely, to take the race victory. His 6th of the season, and Brandon gets it. What a race. Foggy in 2nd place. Wow, Marco, that really was the finish we all wanted.
2 hours of racing and we get this amazing finish. When people say that endurance racing is boring, we may be showing them this amazing battle. All the tension, all the different strategies, the gap to make up, and congratulations to both drivers. Johnny Brandon with Michael Evdoka that finishes 4th. So good win for him, and good win for his championship. Very good day for him.
Yeah, just what he needed. Michel Ricci is going to beat Chris Jackson to the line. Jackson with that extra pit stop right at the end of the race due to that contact. And yeah, just going to cross the line here is Jackson, 6/10 behind Ricci. Good drive from both of them. Ricci in his first race of the season. Good effort from him, and unlucky for Chris Jackson. Jamie McKnight's going to cross the line now. Jose Borges will actually come home in 9th place, a decent result for him. And Anthony Woodward will actually beat Richard Warmingham. Warmingham made 3 stops in the end, and Woodward in the end was a lap down. So yeah, finishes in P10.
Less than 100 of a second between the first two guys after 2 hours of racing.
That is incredible. Certainly, I've never seen an end to that a race like that. I don't know if you have, Marco, but that was quite incredible.
I was on the wrong end of a couple of Skip Barber races in my career, but yeah, I mean, congratulations to everybody. Johnny Brandon will be smiling from year to year. It's championship. Would like to know the championship standings after the drop weeks, because with him being in first and Evdoka being in fourth, I think that the gap is getting even closer. And with 2 rounds to go, we are setting up for a great finish of the championship season.
We sure are. It's right on the knife edge right now. Brandon closes in the championship, but the race results today. Johnny Brandon, what a race. Pulled off the 2-stopper. We'll never know, I guess, which was faster, the 2-stopper or the 3-stopper, because in the end, they are separated by less than a 10th of a second. Stephen Latsmore, great drive from him. Gotta give a shout out to him. 16.5 seconds off the lead, and he was quite a bit behind actually after the first few laps, so brilliant drive from Stephen to come home in 3rd. I think that's probably his best result of the season, so well done to him. Michael Evdoka, it could have been better, it could have been worse. I must say, I'm not sure if he had the pace of the top 2 out there. Early on, he seemed to be struggling against Foggy, but I think he'll take that 4th place after that terrifying moment down the pit straight. Tony Klusman comes home in 5th after getting pole position. That strategy just never worked out for Tony, and he just lacked a little bit of pace. Also, a penalty in the pit stop that cost him as well. Michel Ricci, good debut for him in 6th position. Chris Jackson comes home in 7th. Could have been a 4th for him, but he was super unlucky out there with that contact. Jamie McKnight come home in 8th. Jose Borges, another good race from him in 9th. Anthony Woodward comes home in 10th. Richard Warmingham, very kind of on his own race out there in 11th. Clyde Whiting, good performance from him in the end to gain a few positions late on in 12th. Sergei Glazkov, 13th. Nikolai Bogotayev with that early pit stop, maybe due to qualifying fuel. He comes home in 14th. Bill Switzer is in 15th. Leighton Connor, 16th. He had a damage for the second half of the race. Kevin Whitaker comes home in 17th. Michael Frost, 18th. Peter Bingham, 19th. Ronald Moons, Katie Rose Taranto, and Alessandro Daldone and Greg Branch all retired, and then Dave Jansen and Klaus Winther didn't take the start. Hopefully we should get some interviews, and yeah, well, I guess we should get a chat with our with our potential championship leader, but our race winner, Johnny Brandon. So we are going to have a chat with Johnny Brandon and our race winner. Johnny, that was... What were you thinking with 1 lap to go? Because that was so intense.
It was fantastic. I was thinking team orders, to be honest, but he wasn't listening.
Do you think that 2-stop was the way to go, or do you think maybe Foggy had the better 3-stopper?
But obviously there wasn't a lot in it. I wasn't planning to do the two-stop. I just didn't quite do as well as I'd hoped in quali. So after the first stint behind the top three, I was saving so much fuel, lifting and coasting everywhere. I thought I might as well go for it. I did start worrying in the second stint because I was lifting and coasting so much more to try and make those laps, but paid off in the end. So happy days.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll have to see the race back. But Michael, I don't know if you know what happened to Michael down pit straight. Had pretty much as close to a crash as you possibly can. And certainly when I was watching that, I was thinking of the championship. Were you thinking about the championship at all around there? Of course, you and Michael are good friends, but sure you've got to have your mind thinking towards it at this point of the season.
I was thinking about it the last two laps, thinking this will be good because you know, everybody's so quick. Michael's rapid, Tony's rapid. You never know how these races are going to pan out. And I was expecting Michael to be right up there. So when I see him in fourth, I thought, ooh, I need this win. But like I said before, he's got such a big lead in the championship. They need to drop rounds at the moment, I think. So I need to do this all the way for the rest of the season to have any chance. But that's unlikely. But it's going well at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. You're making up the points. I think that's your 6th race win of the season, so I think that's by far more than anyone else. So good job on that. And anyone that you'd like to thank before we let you go?
Just the usual people, PenPower, everybody involved with the league. It's a great league. As I said before, one of the cleanest leagues, if not the cleanest, I'm involved in. Great bunch of people, and obviously you guys for the broadcast. Haven't seen it obviously, but I'm sure it's great. So yeah, thanks guys. Yeah,
thanks Johnny. Hope to see you next week. Well, in 2 weeks.
Looking forward to it. Thanks guys.
Yeah, we should now get a word with our 3rd place driver, Stephen Latsmott. Stephen, really good drive out there. At times it was a little bit quiet for you, but in the end, only 16.5 seconds off the lead. You must be delighted with that.
Oh yes, most definitely. Happy to get a 3rd. I wasn't too confident coming into this round. This track, cars, lights everywhere. Typical slippery Japanese track. But yeah, strategy worked out for me in the long run.
Yeah, and with a few laps to go, we saw Evdotka and Jackson closing in on you. Did you think that maybe you'd be under pressure with a lap to go?
Oh, most definitely. I saw Mike come in the pits and come out. He was 10 seconds behind. So I turned the relevant off the screen and just concentrated on going forward.
Yeah, and do you think you chose the right strategy in the end? It seemed for most people that the two-stop was slightly faster. Would you agree with that?
Most definitely. Going that little extra longer each stint saved me an extra fuel stop, of course, which is like 40 odd seconds or something.
Yeah, and the next round, I think it's that Circuit of the Americas, isn't it? Is that a strong one for you?
Actually never had a drive around that in V8, well, iRacing. So it's a new one for me. Another slippery track I heard from other people, but I'm looking forward to it. It's quite a new track for the V8 Supercars to drive around.
Yeah, should be a good one. Is there anyone you'd like to thank before you let you go?
Just Race on Oz and Harvey Bay Auto Glass and all our sponsors. Of course, Docker's got his own sponsors on his team. Sadly, he couldn't be here today. But yeah, thanks to all those sponsors as well.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Hope to see you in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, Sam.
And we should now get a word with Tony Kloosterman, who finished in 5th place. Tony, first question to you. That first pit stop, did you get a speeding penalty?
I did. I got a speeding penalty, and my Oculus Rift went blank on me during pit road. So if you saw me weaving about a little bit like a drunken sailor, that was the reason why.
Okay, Alex, I think did comment on that. So at least I got one thing right, noticing that you got a pit penalty. But in the end, that race, how do you think it went for you? Because you're one of the fastest drivers out there, but I guess those 6 seconds off the lead, were you hoping for a little bit more than that?
Yeah, I thought a little bit more. I didn't think I had a chance to win today. I've got too heavy a right foot. Three stop strategy wasn't going to win the race today, but without the speeding penalty, would have been within 20 seconds. So that wasn't too bad, I guess.
Yeah, still a very good drive. Final 2 rounds, Kota and Oran Park, good tracks for you, or not so keen on them?
Love them both. Kota is very, very slippery, and I seem to do well there. And Oran Park's another track I like. So, we'll make it interesting at the end.
Yeah, no, you just like hoping to rack up as many race victories as possible now, because the championship seems to be a little bit far away now. But I'm sure you can, potentially go on a nice little run at the end of this season.
Yeah, I think third may still be attainable, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
PenPower for sponsoring the league, all the league organizers, and of course my teammate Chris Jackson worked really hard on setup this week. Never Quit Racing and Simability. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. See you 2 weeks' time.
Take care.
So, Marco, we've got 5 more rounds of the championship. I'm going to put you on the spot now. Sorry about this, but if you had to go for someone to win the championship, who would you go for?
Johnny Brandon. He has been the form driver in the past 2 rounds. He's got 2 wins in a row. He won race 2 at Mount Panorama and this endurance race. There are 2 very different tracks to end the season, because we have Circuit of the Americas, a Grand Prix track, very long. I don't know. I think that they will race the Grand Prix configuration, even though in real life I think the V8s ran the shorter one. But then we go to Oran Park, triple header there. The track is so short, so narrow, chance of making mistakes, getting into lapped cars, anything can happen. But my pick is Johnny Brandon.
Yeah, we'll wait to see if that turns out to be true in the final 5 rounds, final 2 meetings coming up in the next month here on Apex Racing TV. From me, Marco and Alex, we will see you in 2 weeks' time at Kota for the penultimate round of the season.